Dita. Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Courtney, for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Dita Dow, and I write mostly paranormal thrillers and suspense. Um, and I retired from law enforcement. I spent 20 years in law enforcement and retired in 2010, became a private investigator, did that for quite a few years. And now I am spending most of my time writing and finally living the dream, I should say.
Love that so much. What are your books about?
Again, they're typically they have a paranormal um, underlying. My latest one, Carnival of the Dead, is based on a couple YouTubers who have a channel where they do urban decay uh, investigations, and they go to an abandoned carnival and find out there's a lot more going on there than they thought. Uh, that would be that's the majority of my books. All have typically a psychological or paranormal current that runs through them.
Love that. What inspired you to write your books?
Well, so my books cover a whole wide range of things, but a lot of it is what I love to read myself. And I am very much into archaeology. I love archaeology. I love the paranormal. I like to look for mysteries that surround us every day, not just crime thrillers, but just there's a lot of magic in the world, and I think we miss it. We're always so busy that we don't always see what's going on. So that's what I hope a lot of my books bring through.
Love that. When you were writing your books, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your books are for?
I would
I would
say
say.
really anybody who's a fan of psychological suspense or paranormals. If you love a good ghost story, they're great for that. I want to provide books that offer some twists and turns that keep you kind of thinking. And some of the books don't always have a real hard, fast ending. They kind of leave it up in the air. And some people like that and some people don't. But I want my readers to kind of think and use their own imagination too when they're reading.
Love that. How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
Well, I've always loved writing. Going back to middle school, English and creative writing was always my favorite. But it really wasn't until I retired from law enforcement in 2010 and started participating in NaNoWriMo. And for those that don't know what that is, it's every November. NaNoWriMo holds basically writing a novel in 30 days and really began to push myself. And I started publishing in 2023. So, in a way, it's been a lifelong journey, but I am having a great time doing it.
Love that. Love that. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
Okay. Usually, when I tell people this, they kind of freak out because for me, it's a very intense writing schedule, but it's what works best for me, not just my schedule, but also when I'm the most alert. But I wake up every morning at 2:30 in the morning and I spend about 30 minutes meditating, which helps clear my mind. I get focused, and then I'll write for a couple hours on that. And then in the afternoon, usually after work, I will squeeze another hour and a half in. I'll go to a coffee shop and write. And then in the evening after dinner, I'll write for another, usually hour and a half, 2 hours. And I know it sounds intense and I don't recommend it for everybody. It's just what works for me and when I'm the most creative.
Love that. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
The less distraction, the better. So I do usually I have a whole playlist of music I like to listen to and copious amounts of coffee. And again, I do like going sometimes to the coffee shop, just the environment there helps me focus and I don't have, family members popping in and asking questions and needing me for something.
Love that. What is your favorite writing snack and drink?
Coffee, absolutely has to be coffee. I don't really have anything I snack on, but I probably would not be able to keep up with my schedule if I didn't have some caffeine in there.
Amazing. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
Oh gosh, I have been a huge fan of mysteries and thrillers since I was a kid. Grew up reading Agatha Christie and P.D. James. Um, I really enjoy anything set in old London and Britain. But lately, I've gotten hooked on Karen Slaughter's books. My favorite being 214 Palmer Street. It was a psychological thriller. Um, just it's been a long time since I've had a book that hooked me from the first chapter, and I couldn't put it down. I just wanted to keep reading it. But I love Dan Brown. Da Vinci Code is a favorite. Tony Hillerman's books are fantastic as well. Of course, I live in New Mexico and the Southwest I love and archaeology I love, and he is able to blend a lot of mystery with cultural elements that I like. So kind of a broad range.
Amazing. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
Uh, I I don't know that I had any one that I would say inspired me. I think reading a lot of different authors is inspiring in itself. Um, And now knowing what I know now as a writer, as opposed to when I started, is everybody has a way to tell a story and it's not going to be the same. So not to compare yourself with other writers and think, gosh, they're better at writing than I am.
Love that. What books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
Well, I loved and I absolutely devoured any of the choose your own adventure books. And that probably was a big influence when I wrote Carnival of the Dead because Carnival of the Dead actually has it has two different endings that the reader can choose from, and then I threw a bonus ending in there as well, and that was really inspired by those choose your own adventure books. I think it's just more interactive for the reader. You kind of feel not only are you pulled into the story, but now you have a choice and you can choose different endings for it. I loved when my kids were little, I think I loved reading their books more than they loved reading their books. So the Magic Treehouse series, ABC Mysteries by Ron Roy, and any of the Goosebump books. And I, to this day, people will laugh probably, but I can pick up a Goosebump book and just get lost in it. It's as fun as it was, when I was a kid as it is now.
Love that. On the other side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or authors that if they come out with something new, you automatically grab it?
Again, really, any of Karen Slaughter's books, I grab them. Um, they none of them have disappointed me. I've read every Dan Brown book there is, and I just love his style of writing. They're easy to read. Those are probably my go-tos.
Love that. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
I would say do not worry about picking the right book. Find something that hooks you from the first page. It doesn't matter what genre it is or even age group. I mean, if you go into the kids section, the young adult section, if you find something you love and it hooks you from the first page, read it. Because I just feel like reading should not be a chore. It should be immersive. It should be something that pulls you in and you can lose track of time. And reading should just be fun.
Love that. On the other side of that, what would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
Well, I would say, well, my advice is pretty simple. It's do not wait and don't let other people's opinions hold you back. And I kind of learned this the hard way myself. I When I was writing NaNoWriMo in 2010, 2011 in there, and I belonged to a critique group. And I just remember one lady had come to the critique group. She was not a regular part of it. And she gave me a lot of criticism. And I did not have a thick skin then. I do now. And I stopped writing. I stopped writing for about 10 years. And I wish I had not. It was all based on one person's opinion. And I tell that to everybody I that's writing now is do not stop writing. Just write. Put your ideas on paper. You can always go back, edit, refine it. But you just got to start.
Love that so much. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Well, that I was a police officer for 20 years, I think that usually surprises people. And then what's kind of funny now is because I'm still involved in law enforcement, not as a police officer, but in consulting. And I still have a lot of contact with people who knew me then. And now they're surprised to find out I'm writing books. So it's kind of a reverse on their part.
Love that. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
No, I really would stress to people if you want to write, write and do not be afraid of judgment.
So true.
I just I wish I hadn't waited as long as I did. I feel like I would have been much farther along than I am now. And it really what held me up was being afraid of what people would think or people wouldn't want to read what I write. And it's just not the case. And there's always going to be critics, but the way I look at it is those are not my ideal readers. There's
Love
something for them out there. It's just not my stuff. So
love it. Where's the best place for readers to find your books? I know some readers love signed copies. Is that an option and the best place to connect with you?
all my books currently are all ebooks. You can find them all on Amazon. Um, they can connect with me on my website. It's ditadow.com, and there's a contact form that comes straight to my email. So I love hearing from readers and writers, and um, I'm on Instagram at Dita Dow. So yeah, I mean, really, Amazon's probably the easiest place to find everything.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we got to interview you. I'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And again, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me.